got out of control and almost ruined my life. I realized I needed help to fix my problem before it totally destroyed me. If you've tried to fix your drinking and drug problem and you know you can't do it alone, you need to call the National Treatment Advisors. They'll immerse you into a 30-day program to replace your old habits with new habits and totally change your life. And if you have PPO private health insurance, the entire program may be covered. Fix your problem right now before it gets any worse. Get clean. Call now and learn more. 877-247-1581. 877-247-1581. 877-247-1581.
Attention all business owners and creative minds. Do you need a unique and personalized touch for your products? Look no further than Romika Laser Engraving and Custom Designs. I'm Ron Phillips, co-owner of Romika Designs. We offer custom laser engraving services for a variety of products, including promotional items and corporate or personal gifts. With state-of-the-art equipment and a team of skilled designers, we can engrave intricate designs on virtually any material. Whether it's a special message, a company logo, or a custom design, Romika Laser Engraving will help you make your mark. And the best part, our prices are affordable and our turnaround time is quick.
I couldn't be happier with the work Romika Laser Engraving did for me. The engraving on my product was precise and exactly what I wanted.
So don't wait any longer to add a personal touch to your products. Call Romika Laser Engraving and Custom Designs today at 817-400-4040 or visit our website at romikadesigns.com. We look forward to helping you make your mark.
Hey travelers, do you want to save money on your next flight? Then pick up the phone and call. That's right, call, because the best prices are not online. They're with SmartFares. See, SmartFares has special deals with the airlines. When they have unsold seats, they use SmartFares to fill them. So you get airline tickets at ridiculously low prices. Our prices are too low to publish online. With the extra money you'll save, you can book another trip or treat yourself to dinner or shopping. So stop searching all of those travel sites to find the lowest price on your next flight. Let one of our SmartFares expert travel agents find ridiculously low prices for you. Call SmartFares today and get the best price on your next flight. Guaranteed. Also, save up to 50% off business and first class tickets.
855-325-1820. 855-325-1820. That's 855-325-1820.
Welcome to Crime Time with Brittani and Renae on MTX Radio. In the world of unsolved true crime cases, join us as we seek to uncover hidden truths, bring light to darkness, and seek justice for those forgotten.
Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing? All right. So thank y'all so much for joining us today at Crime Time with Brittani and Renae. And I am here today, again, talking about the Renae Freer case. And we do have a guest with us today. Tonight's episode takes us back to Monroe, Connecticut in the summer of 1977, a quiet town forever changed by the tragic and senseless murder of 8-year-old Renae Freer, known lovingly by those around her as Giggles. Renae was full of life, joy, and laughter. She was the kind of child whose smile could light up a room until that light was taken far too soon. Renae was brutally attacked, struck with a rock, and left in the woods just steps from the neighborhood where she played. The innocence of the community was shattered that day, and for those who knew her, the pain never left. Our guest tonight isn't a stranger to the story. She lived it. She lived on Williams Drive. She knew Renae. She remembers the sound of her laugh, the fear that swept through the neighborhood when she went missing, and the moment the unimaginable became real. She was there, and tonight, with grace and courage, she's here to share her memories, to help us all understand not just what was lost, but who was lost. So I just wanted to thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So, again, we're going to be talking about the Renee Freer case. And Renee was brutally murdered on June 22nd of 1977. And she was only 8 years old when this happened. And to give us a little bit of insight into this case, we do have another guest today, but we're also I want to show you on the screen. So, in the area that they lived in Williams Drive, it was a very, very wooded area. And I want to show you on the screen what the woods look like there. It was a place where the kids would come and they would play. And the woods was thick, kids would go out there, look at the woods. Just to give you a visual of what it looked like. And then also wanted to show you the area where Renee and some of our guests played together, lived, is the video from Williams Drive. And this is just a scene from the street. So to kind of give you an idea of where she grew up. So this is turning onto Williams Drive here. And just kind of giving you a glimpse of what it looked like in that neighborhood. Just a nice little quiet neighborhood where there were lots of families living, lots of kids played together. Very nice area, and it's just unimaginable that this is the place where Renee Freer was murdered. And so tonight we just want to welcome our guest and thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you taking the time to come and tell their story.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So let's go back to the moment, what it was like growing up in Monroe in the 70s.
It was a great neighborhood. There were so many kids on Williams Drive and just in the surrounding areas. We were outside all the time. Even if it rained, if it was light rain, we were outside. We hated being inside. Everybody knew everybody, knew all our neighbors. If somebody went up the street, we waved. It was a close-knit neighborhood, and it was really a great time to grow up in the 70s because it was just simple. Life was simple. It was much slower paced than it is today. It's just the world we live in.
Yeah.
It was just a great time.
Yeah, it sounds like it a lot. I can only imagine. It just seems like such a nice neighborhood, and it's just so good to see it, be able to understand what it was like. So, what about what it was like on Williams Drive back then? What kind of things did the kids do for fun? That kind of thing.
We were, like I said before, we were always outside playing together. People had friends that they hung around with more than others. I could speak for myself that if it was any activity, we were doing it. If it was any sport, I was very much like a tomboy. I had friends there were probably more boys than there were girls. But I had my closer friends that I played with. I mean, we did football, basketball, whatever, rode skateboards down that hill.
Right.
We just rode our bicycles. We did a lot of we were always doing something, exploring in the woods. We would, there were cow fields now where there are now houses, kind of backs up adjacent to Williams Drive. They were all cow fields. So we used to just walk through those fields and we just kept busy. We always had something to do.
Right. No, it sounds like it. It sounds like a great place to grow up. So tell me, were you friends with Renee?
I knew her. I wasn't because I was older than her. I was 13 going on 14 in a few months from that June. So I knew her to say hello. And once in a while, if we were passing by, if I was with my friends, we might join in to a kickball game or just start talking a little bit. But for the most part, did not really hang around her because she was so much younger. She was 8 and I was a good 5, almost 6 years older than her.
Well, that makes sense. Perfect sense. Yeah. Okay. So, what do you remember about her? Because it sounds like even though y'all weren't the same age, that y'all did see each other, probably in the neighborhood playing, or maybe you knew some people that she hung around with, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I remember probably the first thing that comes to mind is definitely her smile. She
Oh,
was the most happy-go-lucky kid, always smiling, always just so friendly, outgoing. She was most times with her brother, who was much younger than her, and she almost like, well, she watched him if she followed him everywhere if he was in the yard. I think he was only about
yeah.
4 at the time. Um, but she just was like such a vibrant young girl that
Oh,
see people wanting to be around her. I mean, I'm sure if I was younger in her age, I would have probably been her best friend.
right. Oh, she sounded like she was real protective of her little brother too.
She was, yes.
Oh, that's so sweet. So, what can you tell us about Renee's family?
I know she lived at the top of the hill on the same side of the road as I did,
Hmm.
about 5 houses up, 4 or 5 houses up. She lived with her grandparents and her mom.
Hmm.
As we said, her brother. Um, I knew her mom, I mean, to wave, like I said, to wave if they went up the hill or to just small talk, if I saw her outside in the yard, and her grandparents, were very nice, very friendly. I didn't know them well, but I knew enough again to say hello, and I knew who they were. Um, yeah, just a nice family.
Oh, sounds like it. We've heard that continuously, so I can imagine, it must have been nice, because it's always great having nice neighbors and, kids in a neighborhood to play with and hang out with, so I can imagine what it was like then. Now did you know your neighbors?
Yes, I knew everybody on the street.
Mhm.
Probably toward the end of the street, it's a dead end road. I didn't know maybe the last 2 houses because we just didn't go up there, and they didn't have kids. So if they didn't have kids, I didn't go up that far. And they cut a road in, or they made another road, long after I left. I moved out, but we did know everybody. It was so like family oriented. We just knew everyone. Um,
Right.
and it really was. Everybody watched out for everyone else, and um, we just we were a very close knit neighborhood.
Yeah. Sounds like it. I remember growing up in neighborhoods like that, and it was a fun childhood, so,
Yes.
now can you tell us about Renee's friends in the neighborhood?
Yes. From what I remember, she mainly played with, at least in the neighborhood, the kids that lived next door to her. They had 3 kids. One was maybe a little younger than myself, and then there was 2 younger kids, but they were her next door neighbors, 2 boys and a girl. She was probably played with them the most, as far as I remember.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense because anybody that lives close to you, it's convenient, and then you're much more likely to be able to play with them kinda more than you are somebody that lives further down the street, so that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Now, this is a sad question, but do you remember the night of June 22nd, 1977? I'm sure you do, and what was that night like?
I do. There was an 8th grade graduation from Chalk Hill Middle School, and I was one of those graduates that night.
Okay.
Um, so I was gone probably until the graduation was over. I don't remember the time, but it was probably between 7 and 8 p.m., and probably closer to 8 by the time we got home. And my friends, 2 of my closest friends, came down to my house and knocked on the door. And we had some people over just celebrating a little bit, some family members. And they knocked on my door and said, they can't find Renee. Everyone's looking for her. So my first thought was she's at someone's house, or she just got carried away playing somewhere, and she's not answering because obviously in the 70s, all you had was either a telephone, a landline, or your parents' voice yelling your name, or like that. Or my father used to whistle because we we can hear that loud.
Right.
My mother's voice didn't carry, but if they had to call you more than a few times, you were in big trouble. So that's all we had back then. But they came down, and there was not an urgency, but a concern. And
Okay.
my friends were a year and a half, 2 years younger than I was. So I said, well, let's go help. We'll go see if we can find where she is. So I went outside with them. We walked up the hill, and we just started calling her name. Her mom was looking for her, at some point, driving up and down the street. So we got involved with trying to find her. And then as time went on, the concerns grew so much more, and we knew just something wasn't right. We
Right.
couldn't even imagine what happened, but my first thought was maybe she wasn't at someone's house, that she fell or she was injured somewhere, because it was
Right.
getting dark,
Yeah.
and maybe she fell or she was in the wood and she was injured. That was my very first thought.
Yeah, that I can imagine that would be something that would enter people's minds, because when you continually look for someone and you don't find them, you're like, well, then the next thing must be they got injured and we need to find them so we can help them. Like maybe she, hurt her leg or broke her foot, whatever. I
Yeah.
get that. That would be my next thought too, because you don't automatically just instantly think something bad has happened. Um, and tell us about, wasn't there other people just besides the neighbors looking at this point?
Yes, more cars came up the street. We saw police cars come up. We saw people that were volunteer firemen come up. Just so many people came up to join search parties. And I know I have older brothers, a couple of them with their friends did join some of the search parties. My friends and I was 13 and they were probably 12 or 11. We were going to join a search party, and then we were like, yeah, that's all they need is three other lost kids. But we just didn't know what to do. We felt kind of helpless, being the age we were at. It was pitch dark, no street lights, no anything. They did have flashlights, but we didn't have anything. So we thought it'd be best to just stay. We were just milling around the area, walking up and down the road, just taking everything in, and just in somewhat of shock, because we knew it was just, the concern was ramping up so much more as the minutes were going by.
Well, and I can only imagine, for especially a young kid, um, that you're looking for one of your neighborhood kids, and kid in the neighborhood, and you're a kid yourself, and you're thinking, oh, well, they're just, probably just somewhere, they'll find them. And then when things start to, like you said, amp up, where police start getting involved and firemen and things like that, then you're kind of thinking, oh my God, like, what is going on? This is getting real, and this is getting scary. And I can't imagine what it was like to experience that.
Yeah, there was you could just see it in people's faces, hear it in their voices, the police officers and the people that were involved in the search. You could just hear like more urgency and more extreme concern at that point. And it's just not knowing like what happened to her. She wasn't one. I mean, she was 8. We wandered off the street a lot because we were older. We rode our bikes into Newtown. We actually, Williams Drive sat in the nook of, say, not too far from Newtown and Easton. So we used to ride our bikes and walk a little farther. But being 8, we just didn't think, she never really left the street as far as I ever knew, because she had friends on the street, and she was only 8.
Right. Yeah. Oh, I can't even imagine being there at that time. It's, this has gone on so long, and have lived it, and all, each guest has vividly remembered this. So it has definitely left a lasting impression. So goodness. Okay. So tell me, where were you when they found Renee?
We were actually still up the street. We happened to be right in the area on the street, but in front of a house where she was reportedly found, but pretty far back um, beyond their backyard and well into the woods. And we heard she was found. And at some point, I don't know remember how much time went by. I remember her mom in that front yard of that house. So we were standing, my friends and I, out in the street. And I just remember hearing just a blood curdling scream. And I will never forget. I'll never forget that night, but that most of all, because
Oh,
we knew immediately.
you knew, yeah, you kind of know. Unfortunately, it's sad that we can understand that, but with the just with that type of scream, you just know that it's not good.
Yeah. And
Oh,
the fact that they would not let her, she had to be restrained somewhat. She was trying to move toward the woods area, which was
right.
still pretty far away, but they had to help her, I'll say hold her back. I mean, that's what
Well,
they had
yeah,
to do.
because you wanna go, even though you probably don't wanna go and you don't need to see what happened. I think it's a natural instinct, especially
Yeah,
as a mother.
absolutely. Yeah, I agree.
Oh, golly, this is such a horrific story, and it just blows my mind that it's been so many years, and it's just incredible that so many people have cared so much about this that they have continued to seek justice for her, and I just think that's incredible.
It really is. And when you sit and stop and think, 48 years, and we've we've all gone on to live our lives for the last 48 years and continue to. And, she just never got that. And we always wonder like what she would have been, whatever she would have been interested in or career, she would have been a success. She just had that aura. I don't know. It's hard to explain. And she just shined. She really did.
Yeah, it I mean, just the mere thought that anyone I mean, killing somebody just blows my mind anyway. I can't ever imagine having, obviously, any reason to ever kill anybody. It takes definitely a crazy person that has mental issues to wanna kill anyone, but my god, to kill an 8-year-old? Like, I can't even make sense of it.
Yeah. It's just unthinkable, unspeakable. And, it's just something that we were just in shock from the moment that we knew that it wasn't just an accident or she wasn't at someone's house. It just was just, we were in shock.
Yeah. We have about 7 minutes before we hear from our sponsors, so we'll just talk about a little bit about that for a minute, but I first wanna also say hi to everybody who has joined us. Thank you so much for listening, participating, sharing. If you haven't shared the live video, please do so at this time. Let us know in the comments if you're watching live with an L, and if you end up watching this as a replay, just comment in the comments with an R. And also, if you can, just, if you have any questions or of our guest, put them in the comments, and we're happy to go over those after the break. But absolutely, this case is just mind blowing. It's frustrating, and I want to wait to do the other questions for after our break. But I would just like to talk about, um, you know, it being such a tragedy and it affecting so many people. Um, it's just, I don't know. Sometimes I just don't have words.
I agree. Sometimes you're just at a loss for words and you just keep circling back to just disbelief
Yeah,
that this even
absolutely.
happened. And, the community's been great. I'm blown away in a good way by just the community support and how this um, kind of came back into everyone's lives and the discussion. And it's not going to go anywhere. I really believe people are going to keep talking about it until this case is solved.
And that's absolutely a great thing to say because unfortunately, I mean, in the police's defense, they can't spend the time that people like us and y'all can spend on things. And of course, we all have lives, but we just do it in our spare time. And they just, they have their jobs cut out for them. So I can understand why on one hand, why they can't work on it like we can, but
Yes.
at the same time, I still do have a question because it's been 48 years, so I don't
Yeah.
understand what do we need to get this case solved? It's just,
Yeah.
frustrating.
I mean, things, for whatever reason, we're at a standstill. I'm not sure. I'm sure new technology and forensic technology and science has come into play here, but I am so happy that there are people that are just doing amazing things. And they're just amazing people. Monroe's a great town, a great community, and the people that are involved with this and in keeping it alive and trying to get to the end of what actually happened. That's all we want. That's all. We just want to know what happened, why, and who did this.
Right. And I mean, absolutely. I mean, it blows my mind that number one, people can get away with something like this. But justice is just so important because I mean, it's not only the fact that they're, out there could do this again, obviously. But this little girl, she was supposed to be here with us today, in life and be enjoying her life and having kids and grandkids and all that, and just to be killed at 8 years old just doesn't make sense to me. Sorry, just my mind is just at a standstill with that, and I don't know what to say about that. But I'm hoping that I do know though that speaking about it, talking about it is definitely the answer to keeping it alive until it's solved. I do know that.
I agree. It just takes, one person or maybe more than one person to remember something or speak up or that they heard. I mean, this is so widespread now in the community and online on social media that someone might just hear something or say something that they didn't think was important, and it could make or break things. It could just change things in a positive way in the right direction.
Right. Yeah, we have about 2.5 minutes until we hear from our sponsors, but I do want to say that there is a group out there. There's actually two now. One is called Who Killed Renee Freer, and they discuss the case on that group. And then also there's another one now called Justice for Renee Freer. And both of them are, if you're interested in this case, you've been watching our episodes. We do have more episodes coming up. We have more guests coming up. But we want you to join the group so we can keep talking about this, keep getting ideas, keep getting thoughts, different angles, anything will help keep this case alive. We've got the Renee Justice for Renee shirt that I'm wearing today. So, yeah, absolutely join the group and help us continue talking about this case. Renee deserves justice. She was only 8 years old. Brutally murdered the day before her last day of school. It was supposed to be a wonderful day, and summer for her, just like all the other kids, ended at 8 years old. And so we want to keep this case alive. And then, of course, afterwards, we'll have phone numbers. After we come back from our break, we'll have some more discussion, and we'll have some phone numbers for people to call if you have any information. And you can give information that it ends in an arrest, conviction, and an arrest. Then there is a reward, a $50,000 reward. So we look forward to talking about that. And I'm just glad people like you are able to come forward and take the time to, tell your story. It really means a lot, and it's real emotional to go through it. I can imagine for you, but just doing it, just know it's a blessing, and we thank you for doing that.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm happy to help in any way, and it's difficult because you talking about that, you're picturing things in your mind while you're explaining or talking about it, and it does take you back there. And even though it's 48 years, it's talking
Yeah.
about it, I'm that 13-year-old kid again.
Yes, I can imagine. Oh man, that is that's pretty wild to have to go back and think about stuff like that. But nevertheless, we're going to keep pushing. We're going to keep having people on. So y'all, we'll be back in a few minutes, and we'll be talking to our guest again, and we'll see you in just a few minutes.
Have you ever met a single person in your life that enjoys paying taxes? No one does. If you can't sleep at night because you have a huge problem with the IRS, I've got some free advice for you. This service is strictly limited to individuals that owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes. And if you qualify, we can guarantee that you won't be writing a big fat check to the IRS, or our services cost you nothing. The first 100 people that call today will get a free tax consultation worth $500. Stop worrying about your IRS problem. We can help you, we promise. Call the tax doctor right now. I mean right now to learn more.
800-240-4587. 800-240-4587. 800-240-4587. That's 800-240-4587.
Why have thousands of aspiring authors teamed up with Christian Faith Publishing to publish their book? Because Christian Faith Publishing is an author-friendly publisher who understands that your labor is more than just a book. We provide authors freedom and flexibility throughout the publishing process, professional book editing, award-winning design, and some of the highest royalty structures in the publishing industry. And as always, you will retain 100% of the rights to your book.
I was looking to find a company that I could trust, one that assisted in the editing process completely.
The most important qualities that I was looking for was a publisher who was honest and upfront, no hidden costs or fees, and owning the rights to my own work.
Christian Faith Publishing will publish, market, and sell your books in all major bookstores, online booksellers, as well as specialty Christian bookstores. Call for your free author submission kit.
800-978-4812. 800-978-4812. 800-978-4812. That's 800-978-4812.
Welcome back. Okay, so NTX Radio proudly serves all of North Texas and can be heard all over the world on the TuneIn Radio Network and on the NTX Radio app, available on Android and Apple CarPlay, or just ask Alexa to play the NTX Radio. Check out our lineup and more at ntxradio.com. We thank our valued sponsors in helping us amplify the voices of North Texas communities and businesses. So protect your family with a will or trust. Connect with Todd Hurd and Associates, attorneys at law, for all your civil law needs at texasattorneylaw.com. Processing credit cards? Join the Swipe Nation today and save on processing fees at swipenationusa.com. Locally owned and operated, and will beat any rates. Got sleeves? Dress your arms and more at thetiffy.com for women's accessories and more, made in the USA. And it's time to take your business to the next level. Hosting a radio show and podcast is a powerful way to connect with a wider audience, build brand awareness, and drive sales. Let's discuss your business goals and how a custom show can help you achieve them. Email Tiffany at t.hurd@ntxradio.com to get amplified. Okay, so welcome back. Before we continue, I just want to say this case matters. Renae Freer was only 8 years old, and what happened to her should never be forgotten. The only way we keep hope alive is for justice is by continuing to talk about her, to share her story, and to keep her name out there. So please share this episode. Share the live and keep the conversation going. Someone out there knows something, and the more we talk about Renae, the closer we get to the truth. And now we want to welcome back our guest as we continue discussing Renae Freer and the information she remembers from that time. So thank you for being here again. And I wanted to continue with where we were talking about, you had heard the god-awful cries of her mother and knowing that something was wrong. So how did you find out what happened to Renae?
I knew, as I said before, I knew that night it was something awful, and that she was. I didn't know if she was murdered at that night. I don't think I knew that then, but I knew that she was not alive back there. So I didn't know any detail. No one knew any details that night. And based on her mother's reaction, I don't remember exactly when we knew. I would think it was very soon after, like possibly the next day, just for public safety reasons. And the police, I'm sure, put out some type of news release shortly after. I just don't remember exactly
Yeah.
how soon after.
Yeah, no, I get that. Okay, and so when did you find out what had happened to her? I'm sure at some point people finally started talking and things were getting out that, something bad had happened to her, if you remember.
Yeah, it wasn't too long after, I would say probably within a couple of days that we found out that she was murdered, and that there was a rock involved, that she was struck with a rock twice, in the face or head area. Um, and we were just that just made it that much, um, almost more unbelievable. We were so frightened, for the longest time. For kids that we were outside playing all the time. We didn't even leave our yard. We were afraid to go outside. We didn't leave our yard for the longest time.
Oh, I can imagine. I would be terrified. I mean, even as an adult, if something like that happened, I would be terrified. I wouldn't be leaving my house if I could, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Golly. Okay, so tell me about what happened after that night. Like, how did y'all feel as children? I'm sure you were terrified and you were, how were things different after hearing about Renee and how she was killed?
Um, well, we did stick closer to our houses. We had to, let our parents know pretty much every move we made. But the desire to go out and play and have fun, was just so, you know,
Different.
diminished. It just wasn't the same. And we were just so, our awareness was so much more heightened. If a car did go up the hill, we knew everybody, that we didn't recognize. We would, okay, who was that? Who, we wait for it to
Yeah.
go down. Oh, or did it come back down the hill? Did it not? And I do remember there was one car, because the police told us if you, see anything, hear anything. So we did see a car go up the hill, and we didn't recognize. So
Oh,
we told our parents. Someone called, I'm sure our parents did, and the police came, and it ended up being, somebody that didn't have bad intentions. It was somebody didn't live on the street, but it was, I don't remember exactly, but it wasn't anything, that to be too concerned about. But that's just how edgy everybody was, when
yeah.
this happened. We just, every little thing, we were just, we were
Yeah,
just so scared.
that's such a horrific thing to have to deal with, and then top it off, now you have to be paranoid about what's going on in the neighborhood. On top of this brutal murder, you're now having to worry about, being scared of your own neighborhood and where you live. That's horrible.
Yeah.
So, tell me, were the neighborhood kids, were they questioned by police? Were you questioned?
Yes, we all were, at some point, even a few times, about different things. But as far as where we were, what we, like, as I spoke about tonight, I told them that I was at, my eighth grade graduation. They even asked us if we saw anybody suspicious prior to that night. Backing up a little more. So questions like that, yeah, all the kids were questioned, and sure the whole neighborhood was.
Yeah, yeah, I can imagine it as a kid being questioned and stuff, but I mean, that's, the best way to do it with the kids because kids are a little bit more like, "Oh yeah, we saw some money," or, whatever. I'm glad they did that.
Yeah, they did. Like, we were outside all the time, so we would see more than our parents would see. We knew the
Right.
neighborhood like the back of our hand. We knew those woods with our eyes closed. We knew the street. We knew the kids. We knew everything. So what better, people to tap into than the kids that are out there all the time, which was us.
Right, exactly. So do you have suspicions of what happened?
I do. I have my, my own ideas and thoughts about what may have taken place. I don't think it was a stranger. I think it was someone that was known to her
Yeah.
because where she was found, we used to go back there, and it was more open. I know I don't know where the video you showed with the woods. Plus, I know the woods back there are all grown in now,
Right.
pretty thick, but it was more open and there was a
Mhm.
trail and there was an area where we used to hang out, or we used to just cut through the backwoods to get to someone else's house. I don't know why. Don't ask why,
Yeah.
because we could have just walked up the street.
Just fun.
Yeah, it is. It made it more, adventurous, I guess. But she was found so far back. I don't think she was um, taken under force and brought back there. I don't think that's the case. I think
Yeah.
it was someone she knew and
Trusted.
trusted.
Mhm.
Went back there for whatever reason. Well, let's meet this person, or someone's going to meet us back there. And I think, um, things got carried away. I think somebody tried to the person that she knew and trusted took her back there, and there may have been some inappropriate acts going on, or attempted, I should
Mhm.
say.
Yeah.
And that's my own belief. I don't
Yeah.
have any other knowledge or anything, but
Yeah,
and I
just your
just think
opinion.
she might have, screamed or just no, don't, and the person panicked, totally panicked,
Yeah.
or maybe got angry, or both, and
Right.
did what they did.
Right. I remember before I ever even met anyone connected to this case, as in terms of living in the area, I had I was intrigued by it because number one, I thought to myself, killing with a rock is probably something a kid would do. That's kind of my thought. I don't really see an adult doing that. I mean, they would have far more ability to kill with just their own hands or whatever.
Yeah.
Or they would use a different type of weapon, in my opinion. So I kind of had an idea that it was a juvenile that was responsible for this murder. And then I read the newspaper articles, and police were basically saying that she was killed by someone that she knew, and it was a kid, a young kid, a juvenile. So I found that interesting, and then I can only imagine if y'all heard the same thing, and then now you have to go to school with kids, and you're thinking, "Which kid is it?" You know what I mean? Like, I can imagine what that was like.
Yeah, it was, everybody was just wondering what happened. I don't know. I can't say for sure my reaction about other kids in the neighborhood. I just don't remember that far back, but I do remember having the thoughts and the kind of the gut feeling, because we did know that,
Right.
even though we didn't play with certain kids, we went to school with them. We
Mhm.
rode the bus with them. We we knew just the little ins and outs, the little like idiosyncrasies of kids that only kids would know that were around
Right.
at that time.
Yeah.
So with all that, that it just that's my own belief, is that that's what happened, and it wasn't. I don't think it was intended to have that outcome, but I
Right.
do think just was panic, or because of screams, or resisting, and then maybe having to deal with the fallout after if he didn't do what he did. I don't know. It
Yeah.
was, I think that much thought went through, but I think he just reacted, and total panic.
Right. No, I can imagine that, that would definitely be I mean, that's kind of what I think as a matter of fact, but yeah, and you hear stories about it, I'm sure people watch all kinds of true crime where they hear, the police often will ask the question, "Who do you think would have killed so and so?" Or whatever, they just usually ask, and I'm just thinking back in my own head, I wonder if they asked and got the same name several times, just wondering.
I agree. I mean, I was asked that question, and I know what I told them. I'm not sure what others
Right.
told them, but
Yeah.
that would be interesting to know.
Yeah, that would be interesting to be able to go, okay, well, we kind of got a consensus here. So, we're going to
Yes.
go in that direction. That's probably how it works. So, why do you think this case hasn't been solved?
I think back then, well, I could talk back then. The DNA, we all know, wasn't available. The testing and solving crimes was not. They weren't done as quickly as they are today. There's
Right.
so much more science and knowledge, and but the fact that I think a big factor is the person being a juvenile. There's certain things that come into play. Back then, I believe juveniles were like 15 and under, and today they're in Connecticut, they're 17 and under. So they're under 18 today, but back then it was 15 and under. So
Yeah.
it's the questioning's different, everything's different
Yeah.
with the juvenile. So that's just another hurdle to have to get over. But I don't know. If there were people or family members or parents that covered for the person, or
Hmm.
lied to the police about their whereabouts at a certain time, that all comes into play. And if it can't be disproved, then to me,
Yeah.
there's not much you can do with that.
I wish I heard more stories about people going to jail, prison, whatever, or probably jail over this. I'm sure it can't be too big of a crime, but it should be a little bit more. People covering for people. I mean, I wish that held more of a, you know, it was more of a, I guess I feel like more people should be held accountable for that. Because if they were, just like people who, cry rape and it's not even true, if they would buckle down on those people, then they might stop doing it at such a steady pace. And maybe same thing goes if they find out, and it's a crime, but I don't really hear many stories of people going to jail for it.
Yeah, it's something that it hinders an investigation, I would think, or it sets
Yep.
it back, or makes it go in a different direction, and that so much time goes by, and then things get lost. It just makes it so much more difficult for the police to do their job.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but the good news is that, we're all going to continue talking about this case and putting pressure on this person and the people that know, because there's people out there that know. And while I'm saying that little bit of stuff, I'm going to let you do the same thing. What would you say to the person who committed this terrible crime?
I would tell him to, it's never too late to tell the truth.
Right.
They need to do the right thing. 48 years has gone by. You don't know how, if at all, but had to have changed their life in some way, shape, or form, and their family members. And family members could do the same thing. Do the right thing, and imagine yourself, deal with it. Deal with what, you took somebody's life, you impacted that family in such a horrific way, and the neighborhood kids, not as obviously not as much as the family, but it's impacted so many lives. And it's just a selfish thing not to come clean, not to say, I did it, this is why I did it, and um, I panicked, or whatever the case may be. And
Right.
just imagine yourself right after that, the next day, the next week, how you would feel after you get that weight off your shoulders, and just be honest, do the right thing. And I can't say it enough. It's never too late to do the right thing. And that goes for family members if they're still with.
Right. The truth will set you free. I mean, that's absolutely the truth. We've always heard that, and I'm sure the weight of this cannot be easy to carry. I can't even imagine that it would be. The other day I read a story, and it was a young kid, and I want to say the kid was like 7 maybe, and this kid killed a man I don't even understand how this happens, but nevertheless, I'm just going to tell a story. This kid killed a man, and typically they will put kids in juvenile, the juvenile system where they'll, stay till they're 18 and then they'll get out or whatever the deal was. But the juvenile system or whatever takes the kids afterwards. They said, no, we don't want someone with that kind of um, that was a brutal murder, and we can't take that. So where we're at with these kids, these kids have done stuff, but nothing like that, and they refused to accept the kid, and they had to treat that kid as an adult, and they could put that kid in prison.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, that would be kind of a tough one, but I'm just saying. And then, of course, if you've ever heard of the Idaho, I'm sorry, not the Idaho. Oh my God, it just slipped my mind. I'm sorry, the murder where the little girls were walking on the bridge.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about. There's a
Yeah.
name for it. The Snapchat murders. Okay, that guy, that the detective on that case, his name is Doug Carter. He come out and I wish more police departments would do this. They need to do this often and get on there. And he pointed at the crowd and pointed at the TV screen and he said, "We're coming for you. We ain't giving up. We're going to find you. And you
Yep.
think you've gotten away with this, but you haven't. And we're talking to people and we're putting this out there and we're going to it's going to come around and you will be arrested." And guess what? They made an arrest.
They did. I do remember that case. That
That's
was,
a powerful statement by police department. I wish more police would do that.
yeah, that was, that really grabbed, and that's what you want to hear as a viewer,
Exactly.
as a person watching what happened to those two young girls. That's exactly what you want to hear coming from a police officer.
Right, absolutely, yeah. When I heard that, I was like, "Yeah, that was powerful, and that was great," and I just wish more police departments would do it. I mean, he was just telling them, like, "You're not getting away with this. You think you have, but you're not." And I loved it. I just wish more police departments would do that. So I think it would be so much more helpful. So I just want to say hi to a few people. I can see that you're on here and you're watching. Hey, Gary. Hey, Beth. Hey, Matt. Hey, Elena. Hey, George. I know there's a lot more down there. It's hard for me to see the whole screen, but anyway, thank you all for being here. It's so appreciative that you are here and you are supporting this unsolved case of almost 48 years. We're just a few, well, actually a month, just a little less than a month or a little over a month away from being 48 years unsolved. And all these wonderful ladies that have, grew up with Renee and knew her and lived in the neighborhood or whatever are coming on to tell their horrific story of how this happened. And um, it's just, we're going to keep pushing and keep talking. If somebody out there knows something, please, please call Crime Stoppers at 860-722-TIPS, TIPS. That's 860-722-TIPS. If you have any information and if you would like to be on one of our episodes talking about Renee so we can keep this series going, please get in contact with me or some of the ladies in the group, and it's Who Killed Renee Freer or Justice for Renee Freer. Either one, get in touch with somebody. We're happy to talk about it. You can remain anonymous if you'd like to. And we want to keep this series going because like we talked about before, talking about it is sure helping keep her name out there. And it's just, doing what we can do to keep this thing going until it's solved. Somebody needs to pay for this. 48 years, this person has lived their life when Renee didn't get to. And that's heartbreaking. Very, very, very heartbreaking. So we plan on doing some more episodes. We have some planned, but again, if you know anybody who would be interested in coming on, please let us know. And we sure do appreciate you coming on. And if you happen to know anybody, feel free to pass their name along or just let them know and they can reach out to somebody. So I think next week we might be doing a recap, and then the following week after that, we have some people that they're lined up to come on to talk about their stories, and they've got a little bit of a different story to tell, a little bit more of a personal, as far as like on the police side of things. So we're going to do that. and we're just going to keep this thing going. So I'm sorry that you had to live through this horrific story, and everybody else as well. But I'm thankful for all of you for doing what you're doing.
Well, thank you for having me, Renee, and thank you so much for doing what you're doing. And you're in Texas, and it's just amazing because this is such a huge platform to get out there, get the information out there, and I hope more people in your future shows join
Yeah.
in, and we can. I mean, it's just amazing what you're doing and helping out, and everybody that's in this group right now, and just our community is it's just been amazing here, and it's I just see it moving forward from this point on.
Absolutely. I know that there's a vigil planned. If y'all will go to our Crime Time Brittani and Renee page, you will see the event that there's coming up. I believe it's June 26th, I think. But look on the event page. You'll see the event that y'all have got coming up. And then, of course, everybody's talking about where they're from. Thank y'all for doing that. I love to see where everybody is here from and watching it from. And if you end up watching this later, please, again, put replay or R for replay. But absolutely, we're going to keep doing this. I really love my Justice for Renee Freer shirt, and I will wear it on the future episodes. And if anybody is needing a shirt, just, get in touch with one of us and we'll definitely help you out with that. And it's absolutely my pleasure to do that. It brings me happiness to at least help out in that small way, to be able to give her a voice when someone took her voice. So somebody out there knows something, and we're going to keep pushing until they get the backbone to come forward and tell what they know, because you know what, that's your duty. And hopefully it's not easy to live with, and maybe that day will come that you'll just say, I can't do this anymore, I got to come forward. So thank y'all so much for being here with Crime Time with Brittani and Renee, and talking about the Renae Freer case. We got a recap coming up next week, and then after that we're going to have another guest on. Please help us keep lining these guests up, because we've got a really good episode coming up at the very end. It's going to be a little bit of a mind blower, but hey, we're here for it. So thank y'all for being here. Thank you for coming on. And we're just going to say hi to everybody with our last couple minutes we have left. Let's see who's new. Hey, Tammy. Hey, Matt. Hey, Marty. I see Marty here. And it's hard for me. Hey, Tammy. I have two Tammys on here. Hey, Beth. Oh, you're welcome. You're all welcome. I'm so glad to do this with y'all. It's actually, I hate to say fun, because nothing about it this is fun, but it's great to meet some new friends, and not from Texas. That's pretty cool. And hey, Rhonda. So thank y'all for being here. We are going to close this out with just a reminder of keeping this going. Join our Facebook groups if you can. Help us keep this going. Our page is Crime Time with Brittani and Renee, and our radio show that we perform off of is NTX Radio. And thank you for all the support. And we look forward to seeing y'all next week, Tuesday at 7 Central. We will be back with another episode, and we will see y'all then.
From Burleson to Venus and Grandview to Godley, this is the voice of Johnson County, Joco Community Radio.
Here's important new information from the Diabetes Solution Center.